Mukwana's statement settles everything.
Okay.
Why are you chasing hares in Karura when you have the deer right before you at Central? Okay?
So, meaning that was some sort of a diversionary tactic?
Maybe, even if they took him to Karura, but maybe they didn't finish the job at Karura. I will focus on this one of Central. This is a confession we are dealing with. Not just a confession of a perpetrator who is naming names. And you still want to go and look at Karura. I mean, what are you pursuing? Is it justice? The only person who had an intention to cause harm on Albert Ojwang was DG Lagat. Mukwana didn't know Albert. He had never met him. Those other remandees didn't know Albert. They never met him. OCS Salam didn't know Albert. He never met him. But Lagat had complained against Albert.
Okay.
He had the mental element necessary to cause harm on Albert. These others did what is called the actus reus, the actual act of harm against Albert. But to convict, you need both the mental element and the actus reus, the actual act of death. So you take the assault of Albert, combine it with Lagat's mental element of intention to cause harm, as per his instructions, and you have your perfect murder case.
Okay.
Lagat being the first accused person.
Okay.
Talam is the second accused. Mukwana is the third. The others can share fourth, fifth, and sixth. And the penalty upon conviction is death by hanging on the neck until they die.
Very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. Remember, this is Kenya's most comprehensive political and public governance analysis show. My good name is Evans Okinye, and I'm joined here with by my resident guest, Wakili Willis Otieno, who is a constitutional lawyer, as well as the deputy party leader of Safina Party. Wakili, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Yes.
How is your health right now?
We are good, despite the circumstances. Yes.
I can see your moods are still not okay, going by your social media posts.
Moods cannot be okay until we find justice for Albert and the other young Kenyans who've been killed by this rapacious regime. We cannot have good moods.
Okay.
Everybody deserves an opportunity to live a life of dignity. And when there's been a violation of the right to life through extrajudicial killings, the least we can ask of is justice and accountability for those deaths. That is what we're demanding. That is what my blood is baying for. Justice and accountability for our young people who have been killed by this regime.
I want us to get into this conversation. Of course, a lot has actually happened ever since this heinous act was committed against this young man. And of course, we've been following it. And I remember in the last conversation we had with you here, you said here categorically that the DIG, Eliud Lagat, was the prime suspect, at least for you. Right now, owing to the recent revelations, what does this mean? Do you then see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel as we move forward?
The point is this. Eliud Lagat should be in Court 1, Criminal Court, Chief Magistrate's Court at Milimani, Court number 1, to be read to the charge of murder as the first accused person. Talam can be second, Mukwana can be third, the others can be fourth, fifth, and sixth. But the first accused person should be Eliud Lagat. Charge offense is murder. Upon conviction, he should be hanged by the neck until he dies. That is the penalty prescribed. That's the sentence prescribed for the offense of murder in our penal code.
Is death penalty legal in the country?
It is prescribed in the penal code section 204. When you are convicted of the offense of murder, the sentence is mandatory death sentence. Death by hanging until you die. The courts have said before that the mandatory nature of the death sentence is what was done away with. It's not mandatory. It is left to the trial court to look at other expectory facts or circumstances that can mitigate and allow the trial court to impose another sentence, maybe a life imprisonment, term imprisonment, and not the mandatory death. But also left to the court to determine in circumstances which have met, the mandatory sentence of death should be imposed. In this particular instance, looking at the nature in which this offense was committed, ferrying Albert Ojwang from Homa Bay to Nairobi, abusing your office as an officer, taking into account the public trust bestowed upon you to provide safety and security to the people, organizing for someone to be beaten to death inside a police cell, your conduct post the killing, tampering with evidence, concealing evidence, giving false information, and taking into account the position you occupy. This is a case where the mandatory death sentence needs to be imposed. And it should be death by hanging until you die.
Very strong words there. Okay, let's get to the details of it. I want your legal understanding and interpretation of the new information that was provided to the IPOA by Constable Mukwana.
Constable Mukwana was a person of interest. He places himself on the scene of crime and is also placed by other witnesses. And Constable Mukwana has specifically detailed how Central Police Station received Albert Ojwang, the vehicle that brought him, a black Subaru. The officer, Mr. Sigei, who was talking on the phone with Mr. Talam. He has detailed how Mr. Talam had told him that he would want him to take care of a particular inmate who was being brought.
Discipline.
To organize for his discipline. Beatings in the cells. And when Sigei arrives with Albert, Sigei is on the phone with Talam. Sigei hands over the phone to Mukwana. And Talam confirms to Mukwana that yes, that is the inmate I was telling you about. And he details how they took him into the cells. He detailed how he went to buy alcohol for the inmates. He detailed the 2,000 shillings that he paid these other inmates that was going to be used to beat up Albert. He details how he ran from the OB station to the inner cells when he heard Albert screaming. And he details he found him sitting on the floor against the wall, oozing blood. He details his fear and concern and reaching out to the OCS Talam. And he details Talam telling him, you should not worry. Hii ilikuwa kazi ya mkubwa. Nothing will happen to us. What else are we looking for? This is an open and shut case. We have a dead body. We have one of the perpetrators squealing, giving you all the details. And you ask yourself the question of motive to make it murder. Who had the motive to cause harm to Albert? Who had the intention, the mental element necessary for the offense? The person who lodged a complaint against him is the only person who would have desired to have him punished in one way or another. At the point of lodging the complaint, he wanted him to be punished using the criminal justice system. That same person organized for him to be picked from Homa Bay and to be taken to Central. That same person, according to Mukwana, equally gave instructions for him to be beaten, assaulted. They were not going to say that our intention was just to beat him, to discipline him. We didn't intend to kill him. In law, there's what we call, you take your victim as you find him. If your victim has an eggshell head, and you push that head with no intention to kill him, but because of the fragile nature of his head, the victim dies. It is not a defense of you to say, I had no intention to kill him. I only pushed him, but he died. No. You will be culpable for the offense of murder. So even if the intention was to cause harm, but the harm led to death of the deceased, the offense of murder is proved. And everybody in the conspiracy must be charged for that offense of murder. And I've told you, the only person who had an intention to cause harm on Albert Ojwang was DG Lagat. Mukwana didn't know Albert, he had never met him. Those other remandees didn't know Albert, they never met him. OCS Salam didn't know Albert, he never met him. But Lagat had complained against Albert.
Okay.
He had the mental element necessary to cause harm on Albert. These others did what is called the actus reus, the actual act of harm against Albert. But to convict, you need both the mental element and the actus reus, the actual act of death. So you take the assault of Albert, combine it with Lagat's mental element of intention to cause harm, as per his instructions, and you have your perfect murder case.
Okay.
Lagat being the first accused person.
Okay.
Talam is the second accused. Mukwana is the third. The others can share fourth, fifth, and sixth. And the penalty upon conviction is death by hanging on the neck until they die.
Okay. Let's have this conversation here. You see, it's almost getting out of my control. I have to admit that. But then here we are. There are certain people who believe that just mentioning the DIG's name here is not enough to perhaps convict him. From a legal point of view, how would you then prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the DIG Eliud Lagat is responsible for the death of
I've just taken you through the chronology of events.
Yes.
Who brings Albert Ojwang into the criminal justice system? Albert Ojwang was just an ordinary Kenyan walking on the streets. Who brought him into the criminal justice system? It is DIG Lagat. He's the one who complained against him.
Okay. Which was his right, at least.
Was his right.
Yes.
He's the one who brings him. Who deploys those policemen, DCI, to go and pick him from Umabe? In fact, you should ask yourself the question, did the Amin authorize that operation? I'm persuaded it did not. DIG Lagat is the one who must have given the instructions to them directly, without listening to Amin or checking with Amin. And as we're doing this, there is also expulsory evidence of GSU officers appearing at Standard newspaper,
yes,
demanding and interrogating staff about an alleged headline. Since when did GSU officers perform ordinary police duties? It is not lost on us that DIG Lagat was previously the commandant of GSU, right? The same GSU officers have appeared at Standard Media Group, questioning people about this headline, about DIG Lagat. Are you seeing the dots are connecting?
Yes.
So he's the one who has an interest in these headlines. And we have an insider, the one who was the coordinator of the assault, telling you, we got our instructions from Talam, who got his instructions from the complainant, DIG Lagat. And I'm sure if you go further, you'll find DIG Lagat and Talam are related by marriage. Are you now seeing the connection?
Okay.
So he's right in the center. It is not that Mukwana has just said, he's not just called a random person. He's not saying that I'm blaming the head of police air wing unit. What is the relevance to the case? In this particular instance, we are seeing Lagat as the complainant, not denied. And you said it's right to complain. We've seen policemen, DCI being deployed to Homa Bay to pick him. We are seeing Talam organizing for the assault to teach a lesson. And we are seeing the person who was in charge of getting the team to do the work, telling you how it happened and why it was being done. There are so many remandees who are kept at OCS, at Central Police Station, every day. When Talam is OCS. How comes they are not assaulted? Only this particular suspect, in whose complainant is DIG Lagat, is assaulted. And you have an insider telling you it is because the complainant, DIG, wants him assaulted. How does he get out of this? The next step is Criminal Court, Chief Magistrate's Court at Milimani. Criminal Court number 1. On the charge of murder. Accused of, with malice aforethought, to have killed one Albert Ojwang. And the penalty is death by hanging.
Talk to us about the revelations of what actually happened as well. Of course, what was reported by the Star on the ordeal at Karura Forest. These actually did not play out in Mukwana's sentiments recently. And in that particular revelation, we had the Star see that there was actually senior, of course, police boss present there with the driver and all that.
To the extent that the Star did not tell us who their source is, I will believe Mukwana, not the Star. They didn't give names. Mukwana has given names. He has recognized his role. He has placed himself at the scene. He has recognized his role and he has given names. And the timelines within which Mukwana is speaking are telling. It is public information that Albert allegedly called the wife at 9:20 p.m. Correct?
Yes.
Mukwana is saying his men got to work around 10 p.m. From Central to Karura, how long will it take? It's not enough, 20, 30 minutes to get someone to Karura and bring him back. And it tallies with the times when he's assaulted, and you can imagine even what it takes to get him out, to get instructions, to get him to Mbagathi. It's all within that time frame. It tallies with the tampering with the Central Police Station CCTV. So he was principally at Central. Karura is a diversionary tactic. I'll believe this one, because this is somebody who was present. This is an eyewitness account, not unnamed sources. This is an eyewitness account of what transpired at Central and who are the players. Why would you say you want to believe a newspaper headline that does not give you names and details of the persons involved? No. Mukwana has finished the job.
But if you look at the newspaper headline, the Star was talking of the presence of a senior police boss at the scene of crime, which according to them was Karura back then, with this driver. And then some certain people have interpreted this to mean that maybe if at all we would get the name of this senior police boss who was at this point, then we would solve the puzzle.
I will not go to Karura, as I've told you. As a lawyer with my criminal eye, I will not go to Karura in the presence of Mukwana's testimony. Mukwana's statement settles everything.
Okay.
Why are you chasing hares in Karura when you have the deer right before you at Central? Okay?
So, meaning that was some sort of a diversionary tactic.
Maybe, even if they took him to Karura, but maybe they didn't finish the job at Karura. I will focus on this one of Central. This is a confession. we are dealing with. Not just a confession of a perpetrator who is naming names. And you still want to go and look at Karura. I mean, what are you pursuing? Is it justice? It never gets this good. You never get it this good, man.
So you therefore believe that Mukhwana's confession is enough to hit the last nail?
It is enough. It is more than enough. It has confirmed the instructions to assault were coming from Lagat. Yeah, it confirms. And I've told you, in criminal law, you look for the mental element of a crime. Who had the intention to cause harm? Those inmates, Mukhwana, Talam, no prior knowledge, no prior contact with Albert. They don't know him. No relation, no history. But then he tells you Lagat is the one orchestrating everything. You go back, Lagat is a complainant against Albert. Prior history, prior contact. Lagat has equally dispatched a unit that he previously commanded, GSU, to go to Standard to inquire about the same headline that is complaining about Albert, thinking the Standard had published it. The arrow points to only one man, and it's called Eliud Lagat. Principal accused, accused person number one, Eliud Lagat. That is where it starts.
Okay. Finally, after public pressure and immense pressure as well from human rights organizations and the young people, Eliud Lagat, the DIG, has decided to step aside until the end of the investigations into this matter. What does stepping aside here mean, and what are the repercussions of this?
A criminal cannot choose to tell Kenyans how he should be handled. Someone who has committed a criminal offense does not choose. He doesn't have the luxury to say how he's supposed to be handled by the justice system. We don't recognize the position of stepping aside. He can't even have the luxury to appoint or nominate someone to act in his absence. Appoint as who? You cannot benefit from your crime. A recognized principle of law. He has to resign. Even if he doesn't resign, he has to be fired. Even if he is not fired, he has to be charged for the offense of murder. So these are just motions of what needs to happen next.
Okay.
The ultimate destination is Chief Magistrate's Court at Milimani, Criminal Division Court number 1. Charge sheet, as I've said, murder. The unlawful killing with malice aforethought of Albert Ojwang. Accused, Eliud Lagat, accused 1. Penalty, death by hanging. Hanged on the neck until he dies. You don't stop hanging him before he dies. He must die as execution of the penalty for what they did to Albert Ojwang. That is what our laws provide.
Kenyans are wondering, why is he not in police custody right now?
As it is, he should be. The system has been trying to protect him, and our public pressure must continue. We must demand of accountability in this particular case. It should not stop. You saw the conduct of the police from the beginning. It was about concealment. That's what they were doing. They were trying to conceal murder most fall.
And cover up for each other.
And cover up for Lagat. Of course, I'm sure he has some political godfathers who wishes him to remain. No. In this particular instance, he is guilty of murder, not assault. And he needs to be charged for that offense. And the pressure should not decrease before Lagat. He is not just charged, but hanged by the neck, convicted, found guilty, and sentenced to hang by the neck until he dies. That is our law.
Pressure has also been mounting on the Inspector General of Police and the DCI boss, over their role in this, and particularly lying to the public on what actually transpired.
In relation to IG Kanja, I'll say, at least to his credit, on the first day when he appeared before the press, he said the investigations were initiated upon the complaint by DIG Lagat. He told us. He pointed where it came from. So I'll give him credit for that. He didn't deny that it was a complaint from somewhere else. They could have lied from the beginning on that. He said DIG Lagat is responsible. I'll give them the benefit of doubt that probably what they were saying initially was part of the information they were being fed by those who were minded to protect Lagat. But going forward, I will expect more of them. And especially, I know, borrowing from the past attempt to raid the Standard by GSU officers, where Lagat was previously a commandant, he must have given those instructions direct to those officers, even without cross-checking with the commandant of GSU. I'm persuaded with my legal mind that those officers, Sigei and others who went to Homa Bay, were not sent to Homa Bay by Amin. On this one, Amin may be innocent. Those officers were sent directly by Lagat. Sigei picks the prisoner. Sigei hands the suspect to Talam. Talam, who is related to Lagat by marriage. Are you seeing the link? I will not pay primary focus now on Amin and Kanja. Primary focus in this particular instance is on Lagat. Lagat to Talam, Talam to Sigei. Bring him to Central.
Shouldn't they resign for lying to the public? That is the question.
No, I will say, I will give a benefit of doubt that that's the information they were fed by the inferiors.
Okay.
But going forward, they need to say more. I will wish Amin to confirm if he sent those officers to Homa Bay or they received the call direct from Lagat. That is what I will expect them to do. Now they know that they're being set up. They are being set up by this system. The information that they were sharing was falsified. So I'll give you the benefit of doubt.
So Amin was actually right when he said that, according to him, Talam was supposed to be treated as a prime suspect in the case. Because at least
yes,
this has led us to...
He has put us now, he was right to that extent. And we moved to the next level.
Okay.
And those instructions was Talam acting.
Okay.
Lagat. Amin needs just to tell us the officers from his department who went to Homa Bay. Did he sign the sign of sheets authorizing them to go to Homa Bay? Pure and simple.
Okay. Kenyans
If he didn't, then it's Lagat has to carry everything. It is Lagat, Lagat, Lagat. Sigei, Talam, Lagat are the primary movers of this.
Certain Kenyans are reading much into the president's decision to talk to the family and give them some donation. They're saying, look, we are reading some sort of malice into this. What's your take?
I mean, in my community, you don't invite anybody to a funeral. But what the family of Albert wants is justice. Anybody can attend the funeral or commiserate with the family. That's not something no one is invited or chased away from. But the ultimate gift he can give that family is to have Lagat arraigned in court. For that family to have closure on this case. That will be the ultimate gift that the family will forever appreciate. Not the monetary gift that he has given them.
Okay.
Because the life of Albert will never be recovered. If he could resurrect Albert, maybe, but he cannot. So the only thing he can do, have Lagat charged. Accountability, justice.
Your final word as we wind this show.
Lagat has to appear in court 1. Offense, murder. Penalty, death by hanging on the neck until he dies.
Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okenyi.